When you focus, you stop leaking energy. Most people are tired not because they do too much, but because they give their attention to too many things that don't matter. Every distraction pulls a small piece of your power away, and over time that loss compounds. Focus gathers your mental, emotional, and physical energy into one direction, and when energy is concentrated, it becomes force. Scattered effort creates noise, but focused effort creates momentum. Focus forces you to decide what truly deserves your time. You cannot give your best attention to everything, and trying to do so weakens your impact. When you choose one priority and commit to it, you begin to move with clarity instead of confusion. Your actions stop contradicting each other, and your progress becomes measurable. Power grows when your daily choices align with a single purpose. When you focus, your mind becomes sharper. Instead of reacting to every thought, notification, or opinion, you train your mind to stay locked on what you control. This mental discipline builds inner strength. The ability to stay present on one task while ignoring distractions is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with repetition. Each moment of focus makes the next moment easier. Focus also creates emotional stability. When your attention is everywhere, your emotions are everywhere. You become reactive, overwhelmed, and frustrated. But when you focus, you gain control over your emotional state. You stop being moved by every external event and start responding with intention. Emotional control is power because it allows you to make decisions from logic instead of impulse. When you focus, your time begins to work for you instead of against you. You stop wasting hours on low-value activities and start investing minutes into high-impact actions. Focus doesn't require more time, it requires better use of time. Small, focused efforts done consistently outperform large, unfocused efforts done occasionally. Power is built quietly through disciplined use of time. Focus removes the need for constant motivation. When your attention is locked in, action becomes automatic. You stop asking how you feel and start doing what needs to be done. This consistency compounds results. Motivation comes and goes, but focus creates reliability, and reliability is what produces long-term success. Power is not emotional, it is habitual. When you focus, you begin to trust yourself. Each completed task reinforces your belief in your ability to follow through. Confidence grows from evidence, not affirmation. Focused action creates proof, and proof builds self-belief. As your confidence increases, hesitation decreases. Power grows when doubt loses its influence over your decisions. Focus also simplifies your life. Complexity drains energy, but simplicity restores it. When you focus, you reduce unnecessary choices, unnecessary conversations, and unnecessary commitments. Your life becomes cleaner and more intentional. Simplicity allows you to move faster and think clearer. Power thrives in environments where clarity exists. When you focus on improvement instead of comparison, your growth accelerates. Looking sideways wastes energy that could be used to move forward. Focus keeps your attention on your own progress, your own standards, and your own development. This internal direction protects your confidence and preserves your momentum. Power increases when attention stays inward and forward. Focus turns effort into results. Effort alone is not enough if it is unfocused. Focus directs effort toward outcomes that matter. It transforms ordinary actions into meaningful progress. When your attention, discipline, and intention move together, your actions gain weight. That alignment is what turns potential into power. Discipline is the evidence that you value yourself enough to do what is required, not what is comfortable. When you respect yourself, you stop negotiating with excuses. You no longer ask whether you feel like showing up. You show up because you made a commitment. Discipline is not about force, it is about identity. It is the decision to live in alignment with the person you know you are capable of becoming. Self-respect shows up in the smallest actions. Waking up when you said you would. Completing tasks even when no one is watching. Saying no to distractions that offer pleasure now but cost progress later. These small disciplined actions are quiet declarations that your future matters more than your momentary comfort. Over time, those declarations shape your character. When discipline is missing, self-trust erodes. Every broken promise to yourself weakens your confidence. You begin to doubt your ability to follow through, and that doubt spreads into every area of your life. Discipline repairs that trust. Each time you do what you said you would do, you rebuild your relationship with yourself. Respect grows from reliability. Discipline protects your time and energy. Without it, your schedule is controlled by other people's priorities, emotions, and interruptions. With it, you decide in advance what deserves your attention. This control is a form of self-respect because it recognizes that your time is valuable. You stop giving your best energy to things that do not move your life forward. Discipline also creates emotional strength. It teaches you not to be ruled by moods, cravings, or temporary discomfort. You learn that feelings are signals, not commands. Acting with discipline means you choose long-term benefit over short-term relief. This ability to delay gratification is one of the clearest signs that you respect your own potential. When you practice discipline, you stop waiting for ideal conditions. You understand that progress is not built in perfect moments, but in consistent effort. Discipline allows you to move forward even when circumstances are imperfect. This mindset eliminates excuses and replaces them with responsibility. Taking responsibility for your actions is a powerful form of self-respect. Discipline brings clarity to your goals. Instead of constantly changing direction, you commit to a path and stay on it long enough to see results. This commitment requires patience and restraint. You resist the urge to chase every new opportunity and instead focus on what truly matters. Respecting your vision means protecting it from distraction. Through discipline, you develop inner authority. You no longer need external pressure, supervision, or validation to do what needs to be done. You become self-governed. This independence strengthens your confidence because you know you can rely on yourself. Self-respect grows when your actions are driven by internal standards rather than external approval. Discipline sharpens your self-image. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who keeps promises, someone who can be counted on. This identity influences your decisions and raises your expectations. You stop settling for mediocrity because your behavior no longer matches that level. Respect elevates the way you live. Discipline is a daily practice of choosing growth over ease. It is the quiet strength behind progress and the foundation of lasting achievement. Each disciplined choice reinforces the belief that you are worth the effort, the patience, and the consistency required to build a better life. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are temporary. You can feel inspired in the morning and discouraged by the afternoon. If your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. Decisions operate on a different level. A decision is a line drawn in the mind that does not move when feelings change. When you decide, action becomes non-negotiable. Most people wait to feel ready before they act, but readiness is a myth. Progress begins the moment you decide to move, not when confidence appears. Confidence is a result of action, not a requirement for it. Decisions create momentum, and momentum creates belief. Waiting for motivation keeps people stuck in preparation instead of progress. A decision simplifies life. Once you decide, you stop debating with yourself. Mental energy is no longer wasted on internal arguments. The mind becomes clear because the path is chosen. This clarity increases focus and reduces stress. The weight of indecision is heavier than the effort required to move forward. Decisions shift identity. When you decide who you are and what you stand for, your behavior begins to align naturally. You no longer ask what you should do in every situation because your standards are already set. Identity-based decisions remove confusion and replace it with consistency. Consistency is what produces visible change. Motivation reacts to circumstances, but decisions shape circumstances. When challenges arise, motivation often disappears. Decisions remain. A committed decision allows you to adapt without quitting. You may change strategies, but you do not change direction. This persistence is what separates temporary effort from lasting transformation. Every life is the result of accumulated decisions. What you eat, how you spend time, what you tolerate, and what you avoid all come from choices made daily. Small decisions repeated consistently shape outcomes more powerfully than rare bursts of motivation. The future is built quietly through ordinary decisions. Decisions create standards. Once a standard is set, behavior follows. You do not negotiate with habits that align with your standards. You act automatically because the choice has already been made. This removes reliance on willpower and replaces it with structure. Structure sustains progress long after motivation fades. A decision requires responsibility. When you decide, you accept ownership of the outcome. Blame disappears because excuses are no longer useful. Responsibility strengthens character and sharpens focus. You begin to act with intention instead of reaction. This shift is where personal power begins to grow. Decisions demand courage. Choosing a path means letting go of alternatives. It means risking discomfort, uncertainty, and temporary failure. Most people avoid decisions to avoid responsibility. Those who decide move forward while others remain stuck in possibility. Progress belongs to those willing to choose. When a decision is made, time stops being an enemy and starts becoming an ally. Each day works in your favor because your actions are aligned. Momentum builds, habits form, and results accumulate. Life changes not when you feel inspired, but when you decide and refuse to retreat. Standards are the invisible rules you live by every day. They determine what you accept, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. Long before results show up, standards are already at work shaping behavior. You do not consistently rise above the standards you set for yourself because behavior naturally follows what you allow. Success begins when your standards change, not when circumstances do. Goals are what you aim for, but standards are what you live with. A goal can inspire you for a moment, but standards control your actions daily. When standards are low, effort becomes optional. When standards are high, excellence becomes normal. You do not negotiate with high standards, you live up to them, or you feel the internal pressure to improve. Standards influence how you manage time. when your standards are high. Wasting time feels uncomfortable. You become aware of how minutes are spent and intentional about where your attention goes. High standards turn time into an asset instead of a liability. Low standards allow procrastination to feel acceptable, and that acceptance quietly delays progress. Your standards determine the quality of your habits. Habits are not formed by motivation, but by what you repeatedly allow yourself to do or not do. If your standard is consistency, discipline follows naturally. If your standard is convenience, excuses multiply. The life you live is built on the habits your standards permit. Standards also shape your environment. You choose who you listen to, what you consume, and what you keep around you based on what you find acceptable. When standards rise, environments change. Distractions are reduced, boundaries are enforced, and alignment becomes a priority. A strong environment reinforces strong behavior. When standards are unclear, decision-making becomes difficult. You hesitate because there is no internal rule to guide you. Clear standards eliminate hesitation. They act as a filter, helping you quickly identify what aligns and what does not. This clarity increases confidence and reduces stress because choices become simpler. Standards determine how you respond to setbacks. With low standards, setbacks become excuses. With high standards, setbacks become feedback. You expect challenges, so you prepare instead of panic. Resilience is not an accident. It is the result of a standard that refuses to quit when conditions are uncomfortable. Your standards influence how you treat yourself. High standards do not mean harshness, they mean honesty. You hold yourself accountable without self-betrayal. You correct behavior without attacking identity. This balance creates growth without burnout and progress without resentment. Standards also affect how others treat you. People respond to the boundaries you enforce and the expectations you maintain. When standards are firm, respect follows. When standards are inconsistent, confusion appears. Leadership in any area begins with personal standards that do not fluctuate with emotion. Raising standards is a decision to no longer accept versions of yourself that you have outgrown. It requires courage because higher standards demand higher effort. But once they are set, they simplify life by removing negotiation. You no longer ask what is easy, you act according to what is required. Silence removes the need for validation. When you stop announcing your plans, you stop relying on external approval for internal progress. Growth becomes personal instead of performative. Energy that was once spent explaining, defending, or proving is redirected into execution. Silence protects focus by keeping your intentions private and your actions intentional. In silence, clarity develops. Without constant input from opinions, advice, and noise, your own thinking becomes sharper. You begin to hear your inner direction more clearly. Decisions feel grounded instead of influenced. Silence creates space for reflection, and reflection strengthens judgment. This mental clarity allows progress to move with precision. Silence strengthens discipline. When no one is watching, commitment is tested. Working quietly builds integrity because effort is driven by standards, not applause. You learn to rely on internal accountability instead of external pressure. This self-governance becomes a powerful advantage over time. Silence reduces distraction. Conversations, debates, and explanations often pull attention away from execution. By choosing silence, you eliminate unnecessary engagement. This reduction simplifies your environment and preserves mental energy. Fewer words create more room for focused action. Silence builds emotional resilience. When you are not constantly reacting to feedback, praise, or criticism, your emotional state stabilizes. You stop riding emotional highs and lows. Progress becomes steady instead of reactive. Emotional stability allows you to think long-term instead of responding impulsively. In silence, learning deepens. Without the urge to speak, you observe more. Observation sharpens awareness. You begin to notice patterns, mistakes, and opportunities that were previously overlooked. This awareness leads to smarter adjustments and faster growth. Silence protects unfinished work. Ideas and goals are fragile in their early stages. Sharing them too early exposes them to doubt and distraction. Silence gives your vision time to mature without interference. It allows progress to become solid before it becomes visible. Silence increases confidence. Confidence built in silence is rooted in evidence, not opinion. Each quiet win strengthens belief. You do not need reassurance because you trust the process you are following. This quiet confidence is stable and unaffected by external noise. Silence creates mystery and respect. When actions speak more than words, presence becomes stronger. People notice results instead of promises. Respect grows naturally when progress is consistent and understated. Silence allows results to communicate on your behalf. Silence accelerates growth by turning attention inward and effort outward. It removes unnecessary noise and sharpens intention. Growth thrives when it is protected, focused, and undisturbed. In silence, progress compounds without interruption. Mindset is the lens through which every experience is interpreted. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes based on how they think about it. What you focus on, what you believe is possible, and how you interpret challenges all begin in the mind. Before circumstances change, perception changes. Your mindset determines what you notice and what you ignore. When your thinking is limited, opportunities pass unnoticed. When your thinking expands, possibilities become visible. The mind acts like a filter, highlighting evidence that supports existing beliefs. Changing results requires changing the beliefs that guide attention and interpretation. A strong mindset does not deny difficulty, it reframes it. Challenges are no longer signs to stop, but signals to adapt. This shift changes how effort is applied. Instead of withdrawing at resistance, you engage with it. Growth accelerates when obstacles are viewed as part of the process rather than proof of failure. Mindset influences action. What you believe about yourself determines how you show up. If you see yourself as capable, you act with initiative. If you see yourself as limited, hesitation becomes normal. Action follows belief, and repeated action shapes reality over time. Destiny is built through daily behaviors driven by internal narratives. Your mindset affects how you handle setbacks. A fixed mindset treats mistakes as personal failure. A growth-oriented mindset treats mistakes as information. This difference determines whether you quit or adjust. The ability to learn without self-judgment allows progress to continue even after missteps. Mindset controls emotional responses. Thoughts create feelings, and feelings influence decisions. When thinking is disciplined, emotions become manageable. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding intentionally. Emotional regulation is not about suppression. It is about understanding and directing mental patterns. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes your internal instruction manual. Self-talk guides focus, confidence, and persistence. Negative internal dialogue weakens resolve. Constructive self-talk strengthens endurance. Over time, the mind follows the script it hears most often. Mindset also shapes expectations. Expectations influence preparation. When you expect growth, you prepare for effort. When you expect ease, you are surprised by resistance. Preparation reduces shock and increases resilience. Anticipating challenges allows you to meet them with strategy instead of emotion. The people you listen to and the information you consume directly influence mindset. Inputs shape thought patterns. Consistent exposure to negativity reinforces limitation. Intentional exposure to constructive ideas expands perspective. Protecting the mind is a responsibility, not an option. Mindset quietly determines the direction of life. It influences decisions, habits, reactions, and persistence. Long before outcomes appear, thinking has already chosen the path. Change the way you think consistently, and the direction of your life begins to shift naturally.